A very interesting finding why companies are moving to Vietnam. Now, this why needs to be addressed. So, this is a very specific case study of Vietnam, very useful for your answer writing for mains examination and also to understand what is so special and so different. Now, the first thing that we understand is the political structure of Vietnam. Now, Vietnam is a socialist republican region. Here, President is the head of the state, Prime Minister is the head of the government. However, the real de facto leader of Vietnam is the General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam, and this General Secretary leads the Communist Party of Vietnam. He is also one of the leaders of the Central Military Commission and the head of the Politburo. Again, this whole structure is a single party controlled region. Despite the fact we have seen extensive figures in terms of economic growth for Vietnam, there are few things which hamper the growth in the region of Vietnam. Let's understand what are those. First of them is logistics. With its poor transport and network connectivity, one thing that hurdles the growth of Vietnam is the logistics and making it cost effective. But what are the things that have provided Vietnam a cutting edge? Now in 2019, if we see the figures, the GDP growth rate was nearly 7.31%, extremely higher than India at 4.5%, China at nearly 6%. Also, another important factor for growth of Vietnam is a significant amount of foreign direct investment flowing in. The amount of foreign direct investment flowing in the region has been very significant from countries like Japan, countries like Korea, countries like Singapore. Also, nearly 68% of the FDI goes into manufacturing sector, nearly 11% of the FDI goes into real estate. Another important thing which gives Vietnam a cutting edge is the low cost manufacturing. Now, this low cost manufacturing is very important because it brings in competitive labor cost. Why do we say so? Because the labor cost in Vietnam is only half that of China. That means the labor is extremely cheap in the region of Vietnam. Another important aspect of Vietnam's growth is a large and a well-educated labor force. Now, since I'm saying well-educated labor force, it implies that the vocational and skill development in Vietnam is extremely high, which is again responsible for its growth. Another important sectors which are there for economic prosperity of the region include development in electronics, food processing industry, fashion industry, real estate, as we say, invites nearly 11% of the FDI. Manufacturing inviting nearly 68% of the FDI as mentioned. And another important sector is tourism. Tourism alone accounts for nearly 6.8 million visitors on a yearly basis in Vietnam. Also, free trade agreements. Now, there are various collections of free trade agreements in Vietnam. Some of the important ones to cite are the Comprehensive and the Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific region. Now, this includes Canada, agreements with European Union. So Vietnam's agreement with European Union, Canada are some of those to cite. And this is how we understand that Vietnam has been growing extensively and the economic prospects of Vietnam come in light because of mainly two factors. One is the low cost manufacturing and the second important factor is a large well-educated labor force. Clear? So those are some of the most important things that we must keep in mind to understand this case study well, and this can become an important supplement in your existing answer writings, specifically cases pertaining to more investments, FDIs, bringing in industries into the country, what could be the important factors that must be taken into account. So this was for today. We'll be covering many interesting sections in general studies. Stay tuned.